Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dr. Jason Jones back with another episode of Health Made Easy. And today, what we're going to discuss is we're going to be talking about how to improve gut function, top to bottom. Yes, your digestive tract, the organs that are involved in that, and actually what's called the gut brain connection. Now, the food we eat moves through the gastrointestinal tract, which is a very long, connected, hollow tube. That starts in the mouth and ends in the anus. And there are lots of organs involved in this process. Along the way, the body absorbs the beneficial part of the food after digestion, giving your body nutrients and energy. The remaining part is given out as a waste product. So a series of muscles, work together to coordinate the movement of the food and the cells that produce enzymes and hormones involved in the process of digestion, and other accessory organs, including the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, are also involved in the process as well. Now, what are the main organs or the major organs that are involved in the digestive system? They are the mouth, the esophagus, which is like the food pipe between your mouth and your stomach. Obviously, the stomach is the next one. Small intestine comes next, then the large intestine, then the rectum, then the anus, where the waste products exit. Now, these organs, they work hand in hand, to convert your food into nutrients and energy that we all need for survival. In the end, it packages up the solid waste or the stool and gets rid of them through the bowel movement. I think we all have that pretty much down. Now, let's look at the organs in a little bit more detail. So the mouth, this is the starting part of the gastrointestinal tract or the digestive tract. It starts working even before you actually ingest the food. So it's like the moment you see and smell something like warm bread or like a pasta dish, your salivary glands start to get active and your mouth like starts watering. And after ingesting your food and chewing it into smaller pieces, your saliva mixes with the food, breaking it into this absorbable form, that your body can actually now use. And then your tongue helps move that food on to the next organ, which is the esophagus, which is really just a long tube, that is very close to your trachea or your windpipe, and it receives the food from the mouth. It moves it towards your stomach through a series of muscular contractions called peristalsis. But for this food to move on, this ring-like muscle called your lower esophageal sphincter, and think of a sphincter as kind of like your butthole, if you will. It's like when you tighten it up, nothing can come out. It kind of works like that. It has to relax to allow the passage of the food into the stomach. Now, after that, the muscle contracts to prevent backflow into the esophagus, which may cause things like acid reflux or heartburn. Now, next is the stomach. The stomach holds food and serves it up in like this mixer or grinder type machine for the food. The cells in the lining, of the stomach secrete strong stomach acid and enzymes that are involved in the breakdown of the food into a very usable form. And after processing of the food in the stomach, sometimes for minutes or hours, it changes the consistency into this paste or liquid, and then the contents are moved on into the small intestine. Now, the small intestine is a long muscular tube. It's like 22 feet long. It has three different segments that you don't need to remember the name of, but it's the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. And this organ is like the workhorse of digestion. And most of the nutrients are absorbed actually here in the small intestine. The foods are mixed with digestive enzymes released by the pancreas and bile produced by the liver. Peristalsis, or again the muscular contractions that move food along, is the main action in this organ, basically moving the food and as it's being mixed with all those digestive juices. And then the duodenum, which is the first segment, is largely responsible for continuing the breakdown process. Then the next section, the jejunum and the ileum, are mostly responsible for absorption and assimilation of the nutrients into the bloodstream. And once the nutrients have been absorbed, the leftover, which is the waste, passes into the large intestine, which is a very long muscular tube. It's about 6 feet long. It links, the small intestine directly to the rectum, and it's got segments. It has the cecum, the ascending transverse, descending colon, and also the sigmoid colon. This organ is highly, highly, highly specialized and is responsible for processing waste to ease the emptying of the bowels. Now, the stool or the waste left over is sent to the colon through peristalsis, or again, the muscular contractions that move the food or the waste through the digestive tract. And any remaining water that the body actually needs is absorbed from the colon back into the body. And then the stool is stored in the sigmoid colon until a mass movement pushes it down into the rectum to begin the process of eliminating it from the body. So, with all that being said, we have these other accessory organs and glands for the digestive process. And a big one is the liver. Now, the liver secretes bile, actually produces the bile, and, processes, things like nutrient-rich blood from the small intestine. It purifies the blood, of impurities before allowing it to travel to the rest of the body. So liver is huge, does about 3,000 different functions every single day. Now, don't have enough time to be able to get into that into this podcast. Now, the second one is the pancreas. It's the main factory for digestive enzymes that help break down things like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And these enzymes are secreted into the duodenum, or basically that first part of the small intestine, to help break down the foods even more. And of course, the pancreas is also involved in blood sugar regulation, and all of those kinds of things as well. Now, lastly is going to be the gallbladder. So this is a sac, and it basically stores the extra bile made by the liver. And this bile is released into the bile duct directly into the small intestine, where it helps break down fats, but it also helps move waste out of the liver, but it also coats the digestive tract and allows for more easier bowel movements, but also protection to the lining of the wall of the digestive tract. It does more than that, but again, not enough time to get into it in this podcast. But last thing we do want to cover is we want to cover the gut-brain connection. Now, the brain has a strong connection to the gastrointestinal tract, or the GI tract, or the digestive tract, especially the stomach and the small intestine. For example, the thoughts of food alone, can trigger, the release of stomach juice before you even eat, and we probably have experienced that before. The walls of the digestive system are lined with more than 100 million nerves, starting from the esophagus to the rectum. That's called the brain in your gut, otherwise known as what's called the enteric nervous system. So those movements, when you're nervous and you feel the butterflies in your stomach, that's the enteric nervous system at work. Now, this brain in your gut mainly controls digestion, from swallowing to enzyme release to food breakdown to absorption. Although this enteric nervous system is not capable of thought as we know it, it has a direct link to our big brain, the one in our skulls. So more so, the enteric nervous system can trigger big emotional shifts, especially in people with things like irritable bowel syndrome and bowel problems like diarrhea, constipation, bloating, stomach upset, and pain. Little wonder why these people tend to develop things like depression and anxiety. Now, if you look at things like Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, which is unfortunately going by the wayside because Western medicine is making its way that way, but they have a lot to say about how our emotions are either stored or stirred up, in our organs. So believe that, don't believe that, doesn't make any difference. But they've been doing this stuff for thousands and thousands of years. And when you see someone who cleans up and gets their organs straight, and they become much healthier, and literally everything about them actually changes. So hope this helped you. I know this was a little bit longer podcast than we normally do, but I think it's important to set the stage for the ones that we've got coming this month. All right. So you guys have a great day out there. Stay healthy, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Bye-bye.